Did your father back in the day used to use radios?
He was a radar specialist in the Navy.
What? Are you kidding me? So that's what he used to do. He used to talk on the radios here in this world. I've never had a soul describe coming through to a psychic medium being like talking on an old CB radio. I keep hearing I'm the dad. And nobody's here because he goes, Matt, if their father's gonna come through, I have to come through, he said to me.
Yes.
So know that he's here on the other side. And by the way, he thinks this is so cool that he can talk to you guys like this. He goes, Matt, he goes, and by the way, this is weird. Did your father back in the day used to use radios? Like, remember like the old radios to talk in?
Yes.
He
was a radar specialist in the Navy.
What? Are you kidding me? So that's what he used to do. He used to talk on the radios here in this world.
Yeah. Oh, he was on CB too.
Cool.
Yeah,
he was a CB.
He had a CB radio too.
He goes to me, this is like talking on the radios back in the day. He's like, I feel like I'm talking back in, and I'm like, I've never had a soul describe coming through to a psychic medium being like talking on an old CB radio. But your father in spirit, he's like, oh, I know all about this. This is cool. I know about this. He also tells me he was like an engineer of some sort here in this world.
Yep, he was.
He just showed me like wires and plugs and how things are put together. He goes, and Matt,
I
knew all about this.
Master mechanic.
Yeah, he was a master mechanic for GM. Yeah.
This is so crazy. So he was a master mechanic for GM. He did radios in the when he was in the Navy. Yeah. Your father's going like this. He's like trying to figure out like how I'm wired to the other side.
Yeah. Oh, that's him. He took everything apart and put it back together.
He's like trying to figure me out right now. Like, okay, oh my God, I can communicate in this way and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, you know, like back in the day when they used to make the connections with the phones, like that's what your dad's trying to do. And he thinks this is so cool.
He needs to know how everything works. Yeah, that's 100% was him.
He says to me, Matt, he goes, you got to tell my daughters, he goes, it's not just through you. He goes, I've been trying to reach them as well in so many ways. And he tells me he's been coming to you with electricity. That's his thing. So have you had weird things happen, like lights flickering and things like that?
Our lights flicker. Yeah, our lights flicker. And
that's your father. Because he says to me, Matt, he goes, let them know. He goes, that I've been trying to send them signs. He goes, and wouldn't you think, he says, that I used to work with wires and things. He says, so wouldn't you think that's how I would use to get their attention? He tells me.
Maybe that's why my fire alarm keeps beeping. I keep changing it. And I'm like, I don't know what else to do.
Listen, it's funny because how your loved ones, what their personality was and the way that they were connected here in life is how they try to reach you from the afterlife. But your father tells me this, when I'm connecting with him, this man loved you all so much. When I'm connecting, he keeps saying to me, Matt, you need to tell my family I didn't want to die. I didn't want to die. I didn't want to die. He said, I was so afraid to leave this world. I didn't want to leave them. He says, I loved my life so much. And he wants to thank you for the way that you made him leaving this world like a big party, he tells me. He says to me that you were all taking turns going to see him. You called different people to come and see your dad. And he says to me that what was so beautiful is that when he left this world, he felt so loved, he tells me. He can't thank you all enough for that. He says, Matt, you need to tell my girls right now. He says that in heaven, he says, I am able to see everything in their life. But not only that, he says, the moment that I went to the other side, I was able to realize that I can communicate with them anytime I want. He tells me that he says, Matt, he says, tell them not to overthink things. He tells me you were thinking about like redoing his grave.
Oh, we do that all the time.
Yeah. What are you talking about? He tells me you were like redecorating the grave or redoing the grave. And he says, tell my girls to stop. I'm like, what?
We were just my daughter and I were just talking about that. And I was like, you know what, when I die, I don't want you guys to have to keep going and doing our grave. And because we're talking about not doing anything like that. And I said, you know, because we always have to go and make sure Nana and Papa's grave is perfect and make sure everything's cleaned up. And it's just such a task because none of us live near there anymore, but we feel the obligation to go and make sure everything is taken care of.
He tells me that he says, your father says to me, tell them to stop overthinking things, stop reading into things. He goes, leave my grave alone, he says. Because he tells me, he goes, Matt, you should see. He goes, they decorate it like it's Christmas. He goes, they decorate it. He goes, like we're celebrating Christmas in the cemetery. He goes, your father goes like this. He goes, it's getting a little much. That's what he said to me. Because it's getting a little much.
We do. We do that. Yeah.
So please know that your father's laughing about that on the other side. He goes, Matt, he goes, I don't want them to have to stress over this. And I don't want them to have to stress over me. He says, what I loved so much is the time that I got with all of you here in this world. That's what he tells me. He says, my retirement days were the best days of my life, he tells me, because I got to spend so much time with all of you. He says, and I got to live life in a different way. He wants to thank you for keeping his spirit in your heart. And this is his way of acknowledging that every day that goes by, you are never alone and his soul is right there. Please know that he does tell me that he found your mom in spirit. But your father,
she hasn't come out. She was a lot louder than my father.
Well, you know, it all depends on what souls, you know, sometimes I'll connect with somebody, right? And their mom will come through and they'll be like, where's my father? I'm like, how the hell do I know? I don't see him there. Right. And then they'll come back and then their mother will come, their father will come through. It all depends on what soul was there. Are they there and with you? Absolutely. But certain souls takes turns, you know, delivering certain messages.
He had Alzheimer's for 13 years, so he couldn't really communicate much.
Yeah.
Before, you know.
Before he died.
There's a lot left unsaid.
He keeps telling me, I have to say, I found their mother. I found their mother. So when he transitioned on, please know that him and your mom are together in spirit. And this is his way of letting you know that he is at peace.
That's good. Thank you very much.
Thank you for trusting me and for being here.